I met my wife in 1994. We were both huge Tupac Shakur fans. That's how we really found interest in each other. My family or hers had no interest in rap music and preferred things like classical, country, and jazz. My wife and I met at a Tupac Shakur concert here in Milwaukee, exactly a little over 29 years from now. We were right next to each other and talked the whole night between sets. Before we left, we exchanged pager numbers. She also gave me her dorm room phone number as well. We had to share a phone in our dorm, the entire dorm hall. I bring up where we met because I should have had an idea of the type of girl she was then. So women were invited on the stage to dance. This set was someone else. I don't remember who the group's name was, but some girls were getting chosen to go backstage and others were kicked off stage. When they were asking for more girls and yelled out who wants to come up, my wife, Tony, that's her real name, was screaming, "Choose me, choose me." She and I knew very well what the girls were going to do backstage. To paint the picture more, we both were 22 at this time. My dad bought my tickets to the show because I did so well the previous quarter in college. He really didn't understand why I love rap music so much. Anyway, Tony was the same way. Her family didn't understand why she liked rap music, especially coming from a strict Catholic family. She was also in college as well at the time, so she never got chosen to join the other lucky girls on the stage that danced and pulled their shirts up, flashing the crowd. I like women, but I went there to listen to good music, so when Pac came on, it was all music, and I enjoyed every moment. Now that I think about it, I believe the guys making women dance on stage were from some local rap group opening up for Tupac here in Milwaukee. Anyway, she and I would talk occasionally until we arranged a date. Her school was less than an hour from mine, so driving wasn't too terrible. Our first date was at Ponderosa, and I bring this up because this should have been a red flag also. She gave me a BJ in the bathroom stall. Luckily, we were there when it wasn't too busy and people were not that many around. But my thoughts were, does she do this a lot? Of course, after she did it, she told me to consider myself lucky, that she doesn't do this for everyone. I stayed at her dorm that night. I had to sneak in, and we both skipped classes the following day and got it in for the entire day. She was an animal, and me being a young 22-year-old, I felt like I was on cloud 9. I went home after, thinking I've had the time of my life and also wondering what if she was just a loose woman. That's what we call 304s back then, or hussies. Anyway, she paged me the next day, and when I called, she told me how much she missed me and she could see herself settling down with me. But I told her let's not let how we feel about each other get in the way of our studies. Before I could finish, she cursed me out and said I was just like the rest of them, and that she knew I wasn't different. I told her to hold on, that I liked her, but she said, "F you. I'm so sick of being treated like a whore," and she hung up. I tried calling her back, but she never answered. A week went by, and I didn't hear from her. I thought maybe I should page her, and I did. I went back to chill in my dorm room. She paged me back 30 minutes later and told me to call. I ran out to use the one phone that we all had, and someone's using it. I asked the guy if I could use the phone. The guy, an ex-roommate of mine, told me to chill off. I left and came back 30 minutes later, but he was still using the phone. I went back to my room. Now it was 8 p.m. I went back out and he was still on the phone. I told him to hurry up, but he flicked me off. I decided I'll call her in the morning. It was Saturday and my mornings are free until work in the afternoon. I called her phone a couple times and there was no response. I then paged her and got nothing again. 2 months went by before I talked to her again. I was bowling on a Sunday with some friends in a different town in Milwaukee, and there she was bowling with a group of girls and 2 guys. I went over and said, "Hey." She looked at me, ran up, and jumped on me with hugs. "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm seeing you," she said, with her arms wrapped around my neck. Said she missed me so much, and I told her she didn't let me explain myself the last time. I told her what I meant was we could see each other, but we shouldn't let it get in the way of our studies. Mind you, we both skipped class the day after our first date. I didn't want to make that a thing with us, and that was what I told her. She told me she understood and wanted to remain friends with me and possibly build up to something serious. Eventually, we both graduated from our individual colleges, and that same graduation night, we made it official. It was June of 1995, and we became one officially. She moved to the city I was in and landed a teaching job at an elementary school. I was working as a mechanical drafter at the time she did move in with me, and things were great. In 1997 was when I proposed, and we got married very quickly. It was a small wedding at her church, about an hour away from her family and my family. The week before our wedding, she was to go on a girls' trip with some of her new friends she met in our apartment building. I never had any kind of bachelor party or anything. Didn't want one, but she wasn't supposed to be getting loose on this trip. Anyway, I never knew anything about the fun she had until 2002. I honestly only was asking her to marry me because she kept asking for it, and said it was against everything she believed in to keep getting intimate without being married. Plus, we had just found out she was 3 weeks pregnant, which is why we rushed the wedding. She didn't want anyone to know and was going to lie and say she got pregnant in the marriage, but I later exposed all of that to her family after my discovery. I didn't want her to go on this trip, but she kept saying she just wanted to have a great time before she's tied down in the house raising our babies. And her exact words were, "I'm not going to sleep with anyone or drink at all. I just want to party and dance with my girls, that's it." I said it was okay, cool. The whole time she was on this trip, it was 4 days, I heard from her once, and it was on the day before she was to fly back home. When you speak of gut feelings, I swear to you, not only was it just a gut feeling, I was sick to my stomach the entire time she was gone. My parents told me I was just being nervous because I was getting married, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. Anyway, we got married, and I'll fast forward to 2002, and our daughter was 4 years old. I wish I was as tough as a lot of young guys today. I'm over it now, and it still hurts a little. But when I found out she was not my daughter, I was devastated. So one Christmas, my 12-year-old nephew and a couple of his friends kept hassling me saying, "Uncle, we need to talk to you. It's urgent." After about the 5th attempt, I went into the bedroom to see what the heck they wanted. He made me promise not to get upset and that I wouldn't tell that he had some of these videos. I replied, "Okay, I won't. And what videos are you talking about?" At the time, my nephew had a small television with a VCR attached to it. It was built into the TV. Anyway, his friends, giggling, pulled the tape out, and it was a Girls Gone Wild video. I laughed and told them it was okay, and that I used to sneak and look at my dad's old magazines. My nephew said, "No, Aunt Tony isn't here. I know it's her because she's with her friend Frankie. Frankie is one of the newer friends my wife met when she moved into my apartment, and she lived below us." I asked that they put the tape in. His friends were arguing, "No, fast forward it, you idiot, you passed it." It's when they were on the boat. Eventually, they got to what they wanted to show me, and there my wife was, chest out, jumping up and down. Mind you, she was pregnant. Her friends were encouraging her to drink, but she kept saying no. Some guy was talking to her and was asking what she thought about the guy holding the camera. She mentioned how she could see his package in his pants and she wanted to sample it. They were asking if she wanted to blow him, and she said, "Yep. When the cameras are off, he's mine." I said, "What the heck?" Very loudly, my nephew got shocked. He was scared my brother or sister-in-law would walk in and see he was watching the Girls Gone Wild tape. It kept playing, and the guy was asking if my wife was married, and she said yes. Mind you, we were technically married at the time. This was clearly filmed when she went on the girls' trip because I saw some of her friends. We signed the marriage certificate 2 weeks before our actual wedding. Now back to the video. She said her husband was so boring, and she definitely made a mistake, and she needs a wild man that take control. I yelled to my nephew to turn it off and give it to me. The nephew's friends ejected and handed me the tape. I went out into the living room and told my wife to grab her stuff, that we're leaving. She looked dumbfounded, and I said, "Grab your stuff now, we're leaving. I'm not going to say it again." I apologized to my family, grabbed the little girl I thought was mine at the time, and we left. We got in the car. I told her what I had in my hand, and she acted as if she had no idea what I was talking about, that she'd never heard of such a thing, and of course, she wouldn't be in a video acting like that. Funny how halfway home she grabbed the tape and tossed it out of the window. I could see exactly where it landed, so I parked at a corner store's parking lot and ran down to grab it. I got back to the car and my wife was crying and the child was sleeping. I asked why she was crying and told her if she's not the one in the video, then all this will be over soon. I was certain it was her, but with her continuous denial, I was beginning to doubt myself. Anyway, we got home and she went to put the baby to bed. She was supposed to come back out so we could see the video together to determine if she was the one in it or not, but I didn't hear from her anymore. I found the part where she was talking about blowing the camera guy, so I went back to the room and she was in bed sleeping with the baby. I woke her up and told her that I knew she wasn't sleeping. She started crying and getting loud, trying to purposely wake the baby. I told her to watch the tape with me so we can prove she was not the one in it so this all could be over, and that if she doesn't come out, I will be filing for divorce. She came out and sat on the couch. I played the tape and it was clearly her. Same hairstyle, voice, everything. She was still denying it wasn't her. I just stared at her and told her she has got to be kidding me. I rewind and played it again, letting it play through where she was saying all those craps, but still she denied. I said, "But look there, it's your friend Frankie and Cassandra trying to get you to drink." She said, "Oh wow, that is Frankie and so-so person." I said, "Yeah, and that's you telling a total stranger that you will blow him after the camera is turned off." She started crying, "Honey, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. They made me do it. It was just for the camera. I was only acting. Honey, please, let's just go to bed and forget about this." I grabbed my jacket and keys and I left. My next move was to get a lawyer and get the child DNA tested to see if she was truly mine. I went back to my brother's place and told them about the tape and everything, and I made him promise not to get upset with his son, my nephew, for having the tape, because we used to do the same while we were his age, except it was just magazines. I stayed with a buddy of mine, Russell. We worked together previously, and we were still good buds. During my time there, I went out every day for a week to find a divorce lawyer. I finally found one and I told him that I needed to get my daughter DNA tested legally without my wife's consent because she made it clear to me that I was not going to DNA test her kid. That was a fight, and it took the judge to force her to allow it. Now, check this out. Initially, the judge said no because I already signed a birth certificate. I don't know what my lawyer said to him behind closed doors, but my lawyer did talk to the judge after that, and the judge then permitted it, which I'm glad he did. We took the test, and when the result was out, the child was not mine. We had to take a second test because my wife swore it was a lie and the test result was fake. Guess who had to pay for it again? Myself. I alerted her family about why I was divorcing their daughter, and told them she was already pregnant before we got married, which was why we rushed the wedding, and that she lied about everything. I gave them the DNA test results and left. So we found out that the father was actually Frankie's boyfriend, my wife's close friend, who was our neighbor. We came to find out that Frankie and my wife had a huge fallout over this. My wife was sleeping with our neighbor's boyfriend when she moved in earlier with me, and demanded I marry her after she discovered she was pregnant with his baby, and continued to smile in her friend's face as well. The woman I married was a horrible woman. I was notified by mail that the divorce was finalized. My ex-wife called me that same day and was asking if we could meet up and talk. She went, "Hey, I'm sure you got your letter too, huh?" I knew exactly what she was talking about. With a huge smile on my face, I said, "Yep, I sure did." She went, "None of this feels real. Crazy how one mistake can ruin a marriage." I responded, "One mistake. Even if it was just that one thing, that's enough to end a marriage." She continued, "So Sarah, her daughter, Sarah's father doesn't want anything to do with me or her, and I'm gonna have to raise her alone." I told her, "All right. Well, good luck," and I hung up. Did she expect me to go running back to her? Ridiculous. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you again. Take care.